Hey guys, Caleb here. I have the privilege of being able to teach the first devotional for the summer. We're going to be going through the Beatitudes this summer, but I get to teach the first one, so it's pretty exciting. To give a little bit of context on the Beatitudes, they are a part of what's called the Sermon on the Mount, which is a sermon that Jesus gave to his disciples on top of a mountain. Pretty self-explanatory. The Beatitudes themselves are found at the very beginning of the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5. And they're like a set or a series of instructions that Jesus gives to his disciples that basically lay out how to live a Christian life. I am going to be teaching you guys today a little bit about the first Beatitude, and it is found in Matthew chapter 5, verse 3, and it says, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." I'm sure a lot of you have heard that before. I'm sure that's not new to you guys, but I really want to break down what is being said here. So we're going to go through 3 really quick points and kind of figure out what Jesus is trying to say and why he says what he says. So first, let's talk about what it means to be blessed or blessed. Whenever I read this, I always think about that hashtag blessed thing that kind of goes around, and you see t-shirts with it on there. And I always think it's funny, and I think that that's a really kind of clever little hashtag, I guess. But in that sense, whenever people are saying that they're hashtag blessed, they're almost saying that they're happy that they get certain things in life, or they're just in a good mood, or those sort of things. And really, Jesus is not saying you're going to be in a good mood if you are poor in spirit. Really, what he's saying is so much more than that. Really, what he's saying is God has favor on the people who are poor in spirit or are meek, as you guys will learn later. So blessed here almost means to say that God has favor on those who do whatever. So you could read verse 3 as God has favor on those who are poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And I think about that, and it's so incredible to me that God has favor on me if I'm poor in spirit. So the next question I have is, what does it mean to be poor in spirit? And that's a really good question. Sometimes whenever I hear this, I think, does it mean that I'm not supposed to have the Holy Spirit? Does it mean that I need to give away all my money? How does my spirit have money? I don't know what that means. Well, to clear that up, what it really means is that essentially Jesus is trying to say people who are poor in spirit are people who recognize that they can't bring anything to the table whenever it comes to their relationship with God. They cannot fix themselves. They don't have any sort of ability to make their life perfect or good. And they come to God humbly and ask for him to help them. So really what it's saying is God has favor on those who recognize their inability to fix themselves, who go to him completely, which I think is really beautiful. And I think it's also really hard. An important part to note here is that it is not us who make ourselves poor in spirit. It's actually God. God is the one who can make us poor in spirit. He can reveal to us our brokenness and our inability to fix our lives the way that we think we should be able to fix them. So what does this really look like? What does it mean to be poor in spirit in day to day? Well, I know for me that I struggle constantly with thinking that my knowledge and understanding of how God or the world works, or what grades I get, mean that I have something to offer God. I think that I'm rich in spirit in my ability to learn and study. And that's wrong. That's not the case at all. In fact, I might be good at those things, but they're not what make God show favor on me. And you can do this in all sorts of ways. Sports teams, grades, family members, boyfriends, girlfriends, kids in youth group, kids at school, all of them. If you want to impress them, or you think that being their friends or being the perfect student or being the perfect kid means that God will love you more, and that's not the case. It's actually more like recognizing that there's nothing you can do is what makes God love you more. So what do we get if we do those things? What do we get if we recognize that we can't bring anything to the table? Well, Jesus here says that we get the kingdom of heaven, which is crazy to think about. And that might sound like kind of lame because the kingdom of heaven isn't going to come until Jesus comes back or whatever, or until I die. I think that it's more than that, though. I think that Jesus is trying to tell us that we'll be able to develop a deeper relationship with God. We'll be able to reclaim the kingdom on earth if we recognize our poorness in spirit, if we recognize that we have nothing to offer. And I think that we can start acting as if we have the kingdom of heaven once we realize that we are poor in spirit. And we can build that relationship with God on an even deeper level. So, how do we become poor in spirit? How do we recognize that? Well, my challenge to you guys is to pray for God to reveal how poor in spirit you are, to take away some of those things that maybe you hold a ton of value in, that you think make you the best person or worthy of God's love, and show you that it's actually just God who does those things. It's actually only Him who can reveal that in you. So pray those prayers and try to devalue those things. Try and realize that those are not the things that give you favor with God. And I think one last note to point out is that this is the first instruction that Jesus gives to His disciples. And I think that as we go through this summer, we can recognize that we have to approach our Christian walk with poor in spirit attitudes and mentalities, that we have nothing to offer and that it's only God who can show His favor on us graciously. I think that the rest of these Beatitudes don't really work if you are not poor in spirit, and I think that that's what Jesus is trying to say. So I'm super glad that you guys got to hear this and hear Jesus's words here, and I'm really excited for the rest of the summer, and I hope you guys keep checking out these devotionals. It's really good to see you.